Ladies and gentlemen, please collect all your places, ready for the flag rising ceremony of Australia and of the Republic of Vietnam.
Australians, oh let us rejoice, for we are young and free, with golden soil and wealth for toil. Our home is good by sea. Our land.
Welcome to the 2018 Third Festival Lunar New Year, celebrating the Year of the Dog. We would like to first acknowledge the traditional owners of the land in which we meet, the Wurundjeri Willow clan of the Kulin Nation people, who are the traditional custodians of this land. We would also like to pay respects to the elders past, present of the Kulin Nation and extend the respects to other Aboriginal people present. My name is Celia Tran and this is Timothy Din and we are your MCs for today.
Xin chào mừng quý quan khách đến buổi khai mạc hội chợ Tết Mậu Tuất năm 2018. Con tên là Timothy Din và đây là chị Celia Tran và chúng con sẽ làm MC cho buổi khai mạc ngày hôm nay.
We are seeing our younger people thrive in our communities. People like Hun Trung, shout out Hun Trung, who recently became Australia's first Vietnamese-Australian candidate for the Greens. Good luck, Hun, and Western Metropolitan. And we have Councillor Gina Huynh at 21 becoming elected leader at Maribyrnong Council, and Daniel Nguyen, our Mayor for Yarra City Council, shout out to you. Incredible young leaders from our second generation making their mark.
It's a great pleasure for me to be here today with so many of my parliamentary colleagues, both state and federal, of course esteemed representatives from local government as well. All political parties are here today, and I think that is a real testament to the strength and the recognition that's given because of the contribution of the Vietnamese community over so many years. Every member of the Vietnamese community in Melbourne and right across Victoria, indeed across our nation, should be so very proud of the fact that in everything you do, you don't simply celebrate Vietnamese culture and heritage, you work really hard to share with every other Victorian, with every other Australian, Vietnamese culture, history, heritage. That contribution means that our multiculturalism can function properly. And we've got representatives of the VMC here today as well. It's only when individual communities stand up and celebrate and share all that they bring to a modern multicultural Australia that our diversity becomes our richest asset. And no community does more to celebrate and share than the Vietnamese community. And it is my great honour to be here today on this very special occasion as we look to the year ahead, to congratulate Vietnamese community leaders that are here today, to congratulate sponsors and partners to make this TED Festival possible, and just finally to say to you that I'm sure that you are very proud to look and see that young group of people who've just left the stage, having achieved such amazing results in their studies. This is the Vietnamese story in our city and state. The pursuit of excellence, hard work, investment, making the most of opportunities that have been given to Vietnamese families, rewarding this great country with the faith and trust placed in Vietnamese families over those 4 or 5 decades. It's a history, it's a story of hard work, of faith, of family, of always giving back. And let me assure every Vietnamese Victorian, it is a story of gratitude for all of us as leaders to be privileged to be here to say thank you for all that you have contributed and all that you continue to contribute in our great state. That's a very long way of simply saying thank you so much for all that you do. It just leaves me to say, as it is the cheat sheet, Chúc mừng năm mới.
Vietnam, Victoria. Please give Minister Matthew Guy a warm welcome.
Thanks, Celia. Timmy, can I acknowledge Viv Nguyen and all of those from the VCA, the volunteers that have put on the 2018 TED Festival. Again, a magnificent performance, an enormous effort here today. Can I acknowledge my parliamentary colleagues, Honourable Robert Clark, the member for Box Hill, the Honourable Bernie Finn, the State Member for Western Metropolitan Region, Mr Tim Watts, the Member for Gellibrand, Mr Adam Bant, the Member for Melbourne, Colleen Hartland, the outgoing Member for the Western Metropolitan Region, Natalie Suleiman, the State Member for St Albans. Can I acknowledge all the councillors who are here today. When I came up, my wife said to me, "Can you say Happy New Year in Vietnamese?" So I'm going to try. King chào ông bà, xin chào, chúc mừng năm mới, King chào quý vị. I'm glad I didn't say something bad. Ladies and gentlemen, the Vietnamese community has become one of the strongest and proudest and most vocal communities in our multicultural city that is Melbourne. To look out and to see so many people here today and to know the work that has gone in here as part of this proud community is absolutely overwhelming. To be a part, as I was just a year or two ago, of the Welcome March with Bernie Finn, which as Multicultural Affairs Minister I was proud to work with this community to fund that arch in Footscray to represent 40 years of this community's participation in Australia was an absolute honour. The work that this community has done and continues to do is, as I said, one of the greatest of any communities here in this wonderful multicultural community that is Melbourne and Victoria. Whether it's politics, whether it is the judiciary, whether it's entertainment. And as Andrew got up, I wondered if Anne Doe is the book my 7-year-old son is reading Anne Doe's books. It is such a wide participation that the Vietnamese community have in our country today. And that has not come through accident, that has come through hard work. And as you said before, your parents and grandparents, the stories of those who left Vietnam under very difficult circumstances, who fled communism to come to this country for freedom of religious association, freedom of political thought, freedom of the media, to give their children and grandchildren a better start. To do that is such an incredible thing for anyone to pack up and do. My grandparents left the Soviet Union and did the same thing by fleeing communism, to give their children a better start in a land that is very far away and very different to the Soviet Union that is Australia. And so many Vietnamese that made those trips, particularly in the 70s and some in the early 80s. Their stories are stories that are founding the modern Australia, a multicultural Australia, an Australia that is outward-looking and international. And at the heart of that, Melbourne, Australia's most multicultural city. Ladies and gentlemen, can I congratulate you? Can I congratulate the Vietnamese community on the work you have done, not just for yourselves as a community, but as Australians who participate in our wonderful multicultural community, in our nation that is the most successful multicultural nation in the world, for the work that this community does for their part of it. Thank you. Thank you for sharing those stories and for keeping your history as Australians alive. Chúc mừng năm mới. Have a lovely afternoon.
Thank you, Minister Guy.
Thank you. We now welcome Mr. Adam Bant federal member for Melbourne.
Thank you, everyone. As the local member of Parliament here, I want to acknowledge the traditional owners and pay respects to the Wurundjeri and their elders, past and present. You've got a lot of speeches coming up, so I'm going to keep mine very brief. I want to say three things. Firstly, Chuk Mong Nam Moi, Happy New Year, and as someone who's spent a little bit of time in Vietnam, including over the Tet Festival, I want to thank you for sharing this very special time with us and putting on such an amazing event. Second thing I want to say is come earn. Thank you, come earn, for making your mark, as has been said. I go back to Canberra tomorrow to begin the political year, and when I'm back in Canberra, we often hear a lot of negative things being said about multiculturalism, and we hear things being said about boat people, and we hear things being said about Australia. Can I just say to you, the Vietnamese community in Melbourne, in my electorate of Richmond, but all across Victoria and Australia, has helped put us on a map. You have helped make Melbourne the great city that it is today, and you have helped vindicate what I think was the right decision by Malcolm Fraser many, many years ago to say that we are a welcoming country, and everything that you do makes me so proud to be your Member of Parliament. And when I hear people saying they want to attack multiculturalism, I tell them about Richmond, and I tell them about Melbourne, and I tell them about Vietnamese community, because I think if the rest of Australia was more like Melbourne, it would be a better place. So thank you very much, and come earn. Lastly, I want to acknowledge the Premier and the Leader of the Opposition and my federal colleagues who are here, and the state colleagues who are here, and Viv Nguyen and all the members of the Vietnamese community, but it is my great, great honour now to finish my speech and hand over to the Greens' newest Member of Parliament for the Western Metropolitan Region, Hung Trung.
Thank you, Adam. Kính chào quý vị. Việt Hân rất hân hạnh có đôi lời với quý vị hôm nay. Giống như ông Adam mới nói, hội chợ Tết của mình, của cộng đồng người Việt là lễ lớn nhất trong các cộng đồng sắc tộc.
Now, in its 4th decade here in Melbourne, this festival is a fine example of our Vietnamese community working together, sharing the passion and pride of the history and culture.
For many of us, the new year signifies a new start. We can reflect on all that has happened in the previous year and look forward with anticipation to the year ahead. The theme of this year's festival, as mentioned, is making a mark, and this carries a very special meaning for young people. Today's second and third generation Vietnamese-Australians are making their own mark and stepping into leadership roles within the community.
Deeply and meaningfully connected to culture and equally dedicated to sharing traditions with us all. And the reciprocity of that relationship is such an important and profound one. Small history lesson: when Vietnamese migrants and refugees started arriving in this state in significant numbers in the late 70s, Australia was opening up to the world, but of course this was also post-White Australia policy. Some of you here today may remember this era, the late 70s and 80s. This was where we had a more monocultural society than the one that we live in today, one where non-European names were uncommon, and where there wasn't celebrations about the Lunar New Year on a scale or size like this.
Thank you for being here with us today to celebrate the VC achievements of the Vietnamese class of 2017. VC is no doubt an extremely challenging period with expectations, uncertainty, and above all personal pressures weighing on our minds at every moment. Standing here among so many talented and hardworking Vietnamese students who have well and truly made their mark is a real privilege.
Từ phương xa nhìn về quê